Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Wins and Lessons, a podcast on fatherhood. We win some and we learn some.
Today we sit with Jim Bartow. Jim was an educator, a principal, but most importantly, a husband and dad of 3. And personally, I've been able to get to know 2 of his kids and officiate one of their weddings. And so it was a joy to sit with him and kind of discover the other side of their lives, I guess, you know, as a dad. And we talked about, what did we talk about, Nathan? We talked about intentionality.
Yeah,
we talked about purposing time.
Yeah, the importance of meeting your kids where they are, finding something that they're interested in, and spending time with your kids individually, spending time with your kids as a family, and sort of seeing the impact of, you know, how that plays out over years and when they become adults. And so it was a really cool conversation for us, and I think you're going to like it too.
Yeah, enjoy. What was your relationship like with your dad? Did you have a good relationship with a dad growing up? What was that like?
Yeah, I have a unique situation. My dad was orphaned at 7 years old. Yeah. And so his dad left. I mean, it's an interesting situation, but at 3 years old, he had no dad.
Okay.
So at 7, his mom passed away.
Oh, man.
And so then he had 3 sisters. My dad's name is Shirley.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I think they were expecting a 4th. But he went to live with the oldest sister.
Okay.
And he lived with her for a while.
How much older was she?
She was probably maybe 10 years older than him.
Oh, okay.
And where was this?
No. She had to be much older than that, actually.
Where was this?
This was in Fieldbrook, California.
Okay.
Wow.
Do you know where that is?
I don't.
Nope.
Do you know what
So
No, I do not.
On 299, as you head to Eureka, Arcata,
it is? Okay.
you know, right before you hit 101,
Okay.
there's a little town right there called Fieldbrook.
Huh.
There's a sign there. You just never noticed it because, you know, who has?
Yeah.
But anyway, so he was with her for a while. She must have been older. I mean, much older.
Yeah,
And
she's taken in
it was
her
my
7-year-old
aunt, my aunt
brother.
Aura,
Yeah.
and that didn't last very long. And so he went into the foster system.
Really?
And he had a rough life. I mean, when he was in junior high, he came home to his foster home, and they had packed up and moved.
No way.
Yeah, and then so he ended up in Fortuna, which is my hometown, and in a foster situation with the Campbells of Fortuna, a well-known family there, and he was raised by them basically all through high school, later junior high years. And so it's interesting because as a dad, he didn't know how to give love, you know, because he had never experienced that. You know, he
Bouncing around from house to house.
bouncing around. And I mean, he told stories about at Christmas, all the kids would get, you know, really nice gifts, and he open up and get a white T-shirt.
Really?
You know, he remembered specifically that a Christmas like that. But
So was this, when this would happen, was this with his new foster family in Fortuna or his old one that...
I think it was the old one.
Oh, okay.
I think it was the old one because he was younger. He has nothing but good things to say about the Campbells and what they did with him. And in fact, his foster brother, Jim Mead, is who I was named after.
Oh, wow.
So he had a great experience there. But it was tough for my dad to show love. He loved us.
Sure.
I have an older sister, 12 years older than me. I'm number 2.
Okay.
World War II
Okay.
fell in there. And then a younger brother year after me, 15 months apart.
Oh, wow.
And so he was a great dad. He really was. He just could not say the words, I love you.
Really?
And
Which is pretty typical, I think, of that generation, right?
I think it is, and especially his background, I think played into that as well. But fast forwarding to when I got saved, which my parents didn't like that. They were Catholic,
Okay.
and they felt like I had left the church, which in essence I had, and so it created a little situation there. But over time, the Lord repaired that. In fact, I ended up leading both my mom and dad to the Lord.
No way, man.
My mom at probably about 67, and my dad at 92.
No way.
Yeah.
Jim.
So
How old were you when you first started really like pursuing Jesus? When you gave?
I was 30.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yep, I was 30 years old, 1984.
Wow.
Yep.
And is Dad still with us, or has
No.
Dad passed away? I mean,
No, he
92.
He passed away at 95.
Okay.
And Jim Meade, the guy that I was named after, passed away at 102.
No way.
Yeah,
Wow.
so,
Oh my goodness. Man.
yeah. Yeah. So they must have been eating good things over there at the Campbell house.
Yeah, man.
But yeah.
What do you think? Like, I wish Dad was here to kind of dig in his story too a little bit. But what are some things that growing up in the household you did, and then becoming a dad yourself, what are things that transferred or didn't transfer? You know what I mean? Like things that you're like, oh, this is great. I want to apply this now that I'm a dad, or my dad didn't do great at this, and I want that to change in the way that I become a dad.
I feel like I'm going to get emotional now.
That's okay. There's tissues right in front of me.
My dad, like I said, he was an awesome dad. He loved us so much. And even though he was not a baseball player, my dad was a track and field guy and a boxer, actually. And but he raised us to be baseball players. And so he coached us all the way through. My dad was my coach from the time I was 7 years old to the time I was 18 years old. And so I wanted that for my kids. And I played 4 years of college baseball and coached junior college baseball, and then in Southern California coached high school baseball. In fact, one of my players is the current pitching coach for the San Diego Padres.
Oh, no way.
Ruben Niebla.
No way.
And I told your dad about that. He thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But so baseball's always been a big part of my life. So I guess, I wanted that for my kids as well, because I remember the trips to the ballpark and back from the ballpark with my dad, and those were our best one-on-one times.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, baseball is so nostalgic, isn't it? Like we just, especially as boys and dads, like it's always that game of catch, that you remember, or the baseball and the games, and like sitting at the game eating like popcorn or Cracker Jacks. And so
and you're getting. I mean, Nathan and I we're with you.
Yeah.
We're all in on baseball.
we just actually started, or we have this plan to like go to as many spring trainings as we can with our kids, because that's just you can squeeze in so much baseball for cheap there, and it's such an intimate feel at spring training. So we're with you on that for sure.
Well, I think, and as a dad, like I never want to say no to catch. That's like a commitment I've made.
Oh.
Like whenever my kids ask to play catch, I want to be able to say yes every time. Yeah.
Every time.
It happened last night actually, and Rebecca, my wife, wants to say yes too.
Or Frisbee.
Frisbee? Yeah.
The Office?
There you go. Yeah, that's a callback. Yeah. Okay, Jim. Okay, deep dive in.
Can we get it? Can we get a dude?
Dude.
Sorry, I had to
no, that's
I
okay.
had to
That's an Easter egg for listeners. You guys could do your research on that.
Okay.
But yeah, I do. As a dad, I want to say yes every time they want to play catch, and I think. I mean, we're just into this conversation, but you even talking about the value of those drives with your dad.
Yeah.
It makes me continue to reframe and remind myself that sitting at practice, I love practices, man. I want to go sit at a practice just as much as a game. But I need it as a dad. I need to take advantage of those drives.
Yes.
Like really soak those in.
No, and so I was coaching varsity baseball in Calexico, California. That's where I did most of my high school coaching, and I told Delia that the moment my kids say that they want to play baseball, I'm done with coaching varsity baseball. Okay. And so Luke did that. He said, "Dad, I'd like to play baseball." And we had played catch, sure. we did all those things, but he wanted to play organized baseball. And so I turned in my resignation, and I coached Luke's T-ball team. That was the first one. And yes, I won't go into all the details of that, but those trips home were, some of the best. The drives to practice sometimes wasn't always the best because we're talking about what we're going to do at practice and stuff, but on the way home, it was usually, them asking about technique and things like that. And just, me trying to overcome some of the things my dad didn't do, like he didn't know how to do, like complimenting and saying, hey, you did a great job at that. I'm so proud of you for that. I knew he was, but I kind of overcompensated and was really, that was my time to do that with my boys.
Yeah.
You really did this great, or you did that great. You could be a little bit better. I tried not to be corrective on the way home. I did that in practice. I treated my kids just like any of the players on the team.
Right.
Because I didn't want the teammates to feel that I was favoring them. So it was on the way home that I would do those, complimentary, say those complimentary things and how proud I was of them and everything. And they were some of the best times,
We had one of our earlier episodes. We sat with Jerry Valton.
Oh, okay.
And primarily talked about like coaching how do you coach your kids? And he and Caleb had to come up with a contract. And I can't remember the specifics of the contract. Do you remember it, Nathan?
Yeah, he said that after the game, he would, number one, they would hug, I think, first of all.
Yeah, that's right. After each wrestling match.
Each wrestling match, they would hug, and then he would say 2 positives and maybe one thing that he needed to work on for improvement. And I think that he might have even said, hey, I'm not even going to come to you to offer any like constructive criticism unless you come to me and ask me.
Yeah, like if you want any more or want that, then you come and ask. Yeah.
But I thought I actually used that because my oldest, he plays baseball and he's really into it. He can be get very down on himself, after a game. Like he could go 3 for 4 with like 3 hits and strike out 1 time, and that drive home is brutal.
Yeah,
like he's just beating
the 1 strikeout.
Yeah, he's beating himself up, and like, especially if he plays on a team with like a lot of good kids, and he's not the best on the team. He's a perfectionist, so it's tough. But I could those. It's getting a little bit better now, but yeah, those drives home after the game are just so good to connect
so valuable.
with.
Yep. Well, and as a high school coach, the kids on my team, most of them were all-stars in their little league. And so my philosophy on hitting is kind of the same thing as what Jerry was saying. I'm not, because, baseball, hitting is so mental.
Yeah.
So you can overcoach hitters. And so I had the same approach. If you're frustrated, if you're feeling that it's not working, ask me.
Yeah.
And then I will coach you up. But I was mostly just a rah-rah guy when it came to hitting, because it is such a negative. 3 out of 4 times, that's a 750 batting average.
Yeah. It's Hall of Fame.
The ones,
That's Hall of Fame.
Exactly.
Beyond Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Beyond. So,
So, actually, like, how many kids do you have?
I have 3.
Okay.
I have 2 boys and a girl.
And how old are they now?
Well, Luke's birthday was 2 days ago. He is, So Luke's 36. They're all 2 years apart. Yeah. So he just turned. So that would make Daniel 33.
Okay.
Because,
36, 33-ish, 30.
33 and 31.
Yeah,
Sarah's 31. She's the baby.
So let me ask you this. With the girl, baseball, because I have 1 girl too, 2 boys really into baseball, 1 girl not into baseball yet. But like it's different. Like baseball is something I can connect with my sons. Yeah. Very easily. But like I can't really connect with my daughter. So was it the same with you? Like you were able to connect with your sons around baseball? Did she play baseball too? Was it the same? No. Yeah. How did you manage that piece?
I'm with you. It was difficult. Sarah was definitely not into baseball. Sarah Sarah's a really good volleyball player. Played, 3 years of varsity volleyball. But I'm not a volleyball player. So I was a spectator and cheerleader. But Sarah didn't like anything that had to do with contact. Volleyball was safe because they're on the other side of the net. And so I coached her 1 year in basketball, 4th grade. And it was a great experience. We had all the same experiences I did with the boys. The drive home and everything. And we loved that time together. But that was it. It was a 1 year deal because girls are different. The sport she liked, there wasn't a lot of travel. And she didn't get involved in travel volleyball till later on. And I wasn't ever going to be her coach. Yeah. So what Sarah and I did, and we still do to this day, is that we have a yearly date. Every year we go to the Shasta High Musical, and in fact, I have a picture of her and I that the Record Searchlight took of us on our date. We were at a Starbucks, and we were having our coffee and listening to a guy play some instrument. I don't even remember what it was now. And I think a cello or something. And they captured that moment. But we do that every year and still do.
Same. You always go to Shasta High
Shasta High Musical. And we'll go out to dinner, and we'll go. She gets to pick where we go, and she can pick anywhere she wants to go. And so we've been to just about every restaurant in Redding over the years. And then we used to, when she was younger, we'd go to Starbucks. But as she got older, we didn't do that. And I think it's because we just valued that time at dinner. And so we just spent a little bit more time there, just connecting and stuff. And I think on one of those nights, I did give her, a what do you call not a promise ring, but I
would have thought
abstinence. Abstinence ring. And she has recently told me that was very key in her making the right decisions in that capacity. So,
that idea or that tradition, what was that birthed out of? I mean, obviously, maybe my assumption is like wanting to try and find a way to connect with my daughter. Yeah. But was that like your idea? Was that your wife's idea? Were you asking your wife, like, how do I?
No,
I can't make her play baseball, but what could I do?
It evolved. So I was working at Shasta High School at the time when it first started. I was an assistant principal there. And so I remember the very first one, I took the whole family. Well, the boys weren't too keen on that. And, they'd rather do other things. And so it just, I don't even remember the first year that I think it was probably the next year. It was just Sarah and I. But I've always loved musicals. I'm not a musical person, but my sister, who was 12 years older than me, was a singer. And so she was in musicals. And the one that is most vivid in my mind is The Music Man. And she played the lead in The Music Man, Marion the librarian. And so Sarah and I, our first one-on-one together was The Music Man.
Oh, wow.
And so it evolved. I don't even know if we even went out to dinner that first year, but I mean, she's 31 now. When we started, she was probably 7.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's so
And
sweet.
we missed 1 year, and it was when she was going to Chico State, and it didn't work out. We just couldn't find a day that would work. And so it'll be interesting this year because she now has a child. And so I don't know.
I was going to ask, how'd that go over? Her husband's awesome. I love her husband. But how'd that go over after they got married? Was that like, hey, FYI, my dad and I do this every year, and this is going to happen? Or
it was either when they first got married or maybe dating together or whatever, but he went with us on one. And there's been times where Delia will go or we meet Delia and a friend of hers there. Sarah and I will go have dinner, and then we meet them at the thing. And I think the 1 year Jordan went,
Yeah.
we all went out to dinner together, the four of us, and then we went. But he's not into musicals. So that was it. It was a one-off.
Yeah.
And so that's a time for her and I to connect. And we have a great relationship,
That's
you know.
cool.
Not just because of that, but she's not really into sports. Although she is getting more into sports now that she married Jordan.
Right.
She's into basketball now and wants to get more into football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Get her on your fantasy.
get her in your
team,
fantasy
you know?
league.
We have a home fantasy league, but she has never wanted to do that. But yeah, maybe.
And so, like with traditions, do you have something that you're still doing with your boys? Do you guys go to games every year or anything like that?
Well, Luke, my oldest, is in Missouri,
Okay.
so he bought a Ace Hardware and moved his family back there with all 5 grandkids. But Luke and I, we like to shoot, and so we've done that. That's kind of been our thing, and we do that. Guns and I don't know if that's okay to say here, but guns and ammo and stuff like that. We even went to a training down in Pahrump, Nevada together, and so we have that connection. We have a lot of connections, Luke and I, and so we just do it long distance now. Daniel and I will, we'll go to a major league game once in a while. We went to one this year. Took Brody to his first
cool.
baseball game. I'm a St. Louis Cardinal fan. Yeah. Sorry.
That's okay.
But I do like the Dodgers. I do like the Dodgers.
Nathan's not a Dodgers fan either.
We'll cut that part out.
Nathan's an Angels fan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I was just joking with
pretty harmless.
I was joking with a cousin of mine recently. If you can say out loud that you're an Angels fan, then you're a real Angels fan.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
so,
That's true. We're gonna cut this part out. I mean, I don't know if I want people to know that, but
Well, as a varsity baseball coach in Southern California, we were in the Southern section. They gave us season passes to the Angel games.
Are you serious?
Yes, but they were only
Bleachers,
games.
nosebleeds.
Well, they were.
Yeah.
But they were only games that were non-promotional.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I mean, so how many of those are there really?
Not many.
So what? Was this back in the early 2000s?
This was back in the late 1980s, early 1990s.
They were really bad. They were really bad. Those are Chuck Finley days, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've had the pleasure. I don't know Luke that well. Maybe I met him once at one of the weddings, but I've had the pleasure of getting to know Sarah and Daniel, and then Jessica and Jordan, like their spouses, and actually Rebecca and I have gotten to do their premarital counseling, and then I got to officiate Daniel's wedding, Jessica's wedding. Both of them got married there. And I know none of us are perfect as dads, and families got all sorts of stuff that we're working through and seeking Jesus. But I've getting to sit with 2 of your 3 children and spend, I'd say, some fairly intimate time with. I've just always been so impressed by your kids, who your kids are, their spirit, their heart. I've only witnessed joy in them and their spouses, and their care for people, and they're just a great spirit.
Yeah.
And so,
thank you.
Yeah, man, you're welcome. And I think some of that has to be accredited to the household, and some of that has to be accredited to Jesus and the
Amen.
DNA that He's given them.
Yes.
But what would you say would be for you as a dad? If we're talking to dads and about dads and being a dad, what would you say? And I don't think you ever stop dadding.
No.
I don't know if that's a verb or not, but
It is now.
it is now. What would you say was like a win for you as a dad? When you think about your role as a dad up to this point, what kind of pops out if you're like that? And maybe you've already mentioned it in the things we've talked about, but what would you look at and say that was a win, and or encourage other dads in?
It gives me chills, but the win, obviously, Deli and I were both saved when we got married, but was picking my wife. She, and I think the decision that we made to have her stay at home, I know not everybody can do that, but that was such a crucial thing to have a mom at home. She homeschooled initially, until we moved up here to Redding. But her giving up her career, as a medical transcriptionist to be a stay-at-home mom and be there every day, prayer. We prayed from the time our kids were babies, and I know this is not rocket science, and Christian men are going to be listening to this, and I'm sure we're all the same belief, but we did do this, and that is we prayed over our babies. And we prayed from day one for their spouses. And you've met two of them.
Yeah.
And Deidre, who is Luke's wife, is an answer to prayer as well. And so we feel that God answered those prayers. And I think that's probably the biggest win, is just praying for your kids from day one, and continuing to pray for them and over them and with them. At bedtime or whatever, or, practicing Christianity in your home, and where it's not just at church on Sundays, where we roll up and now we're Christians today.
Right.
I think and I have to give Delia a lot of the credit for that. I really do, because I'm off, going to work. I was a school teacher in the early days. We didn't have a lot of money, so we had to cut corners and do things that sacrificing, Christmases and stuff like that. But I think we were better for it in the long run. And, that is a win. Some of the things I mentioned about, the one-on-one time, just creating situations in your family, game nights and movie nights, and, just loving your kids and wanting to be a part of their life, and, not giving them, sending them to their bedroom to do things or play or, get away or whatever. But we just like doing things together. But we also had the advantage growing up. My family had a cabin, and we sold it 4 years ago after my dad passed away, which was kind of a bummer, but, there's a long story there. But for a lot of our kids' growing up years, we would drive out to the cabins out on Highway 36, a couple-hour drive, and we would always allow them, not all of them each time, but to bring a friend, and we'd play spotlight tag, which is basically hide and go seek in the dark with flashlights and paintball and card games, and every night was a campfire where we sit around the campfire and tell stories and share, and so we really believed in family time. When we sold the cabin, we committed to one time a year getting an Airbnb and still doing that. So we still do that. But I think it's just spending time together. It's not a big secret. I think most of us believe in that.
Was that something that you and your wife talked about, like before having kids, or as the kids started to get older, like, hey, we want to purpose this time? Or do you feel that just kind of came out naturally for you guys?
I think it came out naturally, but once again, I got to give Delia a lot of the credit. She's the barometer. She was the one that she had a really good sense of family direction and stuff. So she was she'd steer us.
Yeah.
And I think, behind every great man is, a fantastic prayerful woman.
Right.
But she is that for our family, for sure.
Would you going on the other side, not losses, right? This is wins and lessons. What is something maybe that you did that you could maybe go back and potentially do different? A lesson you could learn that maybe you could share with us?
Yeah. So there's one that really comes to mind, and that is, as you know, family devotions. Okay. So it was a big part of our kids in their younger ages, but how old's your oldest right now?
11.
11.
11,
Okay, so you're approaching those
11,
years.
9, 6, 4. That's where we're at, right? At
Okay.
the point of this recording. Yeah.
Kind of like Luke. Luke's oldest is 11.
Oh, really?
And how about you? Nathan?
11, 9, 6, so pretty much the same.
Okay.
But I don't have the 4.
Yeah, he
So,
doesn't.
so
To
you're
my wife's chagrin, by the way.
you're kind of both on the cusp of what I call those crucial years because, and maybe you're already experiencing it somewhat, but what we discovered is, sports and things that can, I don't know, seep into that family time. I know with our kids, it was mostly high school. They went to Reading Christian High School, and so they were all active in sports. And so our devotion time was always dinner time. So that works out great if you're all having dinner together.
Right.
But I think and we were pretty committed to doing that, and it was great until it wasn't. And then when kids started going their own way, they're over at this friend's house, or they're at a late practice. I think the loss was if we didn't. What our approach was, if we didn't have everybody there, we didn't do devotions, and I think that's a mistake that we made. Now, all of our kids are still following the Lord and love the Lord and raising their kids to be godly children and follow Jesus. So, but I really wish I would have instilled that more in our kids.
What would that have looked like? Like if you could go back and tell yourself, like, "Hey, Jim, hold the line here. How do you think you'd practically, with kids, schedules, cars, whatever, like, how would you have implemented that, you think?"
And even I'd be also interested in like, what did your devotions look like? Because
that's a good one.
with our kids, right? Younger kids, 11, 9, and 6.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you make devotions at dinner? How do you make devotions when they're all going wild? How do you make it? How do you make it interesting enough to sort of like hold their attention?
That's a great question. Well, let me answer your question first. So, what I would do differently in that realm is that I just had this ideal that we all had to be together.
Sure.
And I think I would do that differently. So if there's one kid there, if there's no kids there, or whatever, we would just continue to do it.
Yeah.
We're doing it one way or another. I regret that we didn't do it that way. I really do. And so my advice would be, you just continue. It's part of your life. It's like doing the dishes afterwards. It has to be done.
Yeah.
So crucial. And it sets that example for your kids with their families.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't exactly know what they do. Of course, Jordan and Sarah just have little Leighton.
Right.
But to answer your question, basically what I would do is it could be, I had my own personal devotion times, and it could be just a scripture that the Lord showed me in that, and I would just throw that out there. But I like participation. So it was never a lecture.
Yeah.
It was always participation. And how does this apply to you guys and your life today? And maybe even ask them about their day, afterwards. But we always would start with scripture. It would always begin with the scripture, and we would always close in prayer.
And some of that you're saying kind of came out of your own personal time with the Lord or reading.
Most of the time, it was wherever I was in the Bible.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
that's fantastic.
I'll pick it up on the theme of a lot of being like very intentional, right? With even so much as to finding things that you have in common with your kids and meeting them down on that level instead of, I don't have anything in common with my kid. I'm not into gymnastics or whatever my daughter is doing. But you know what? Like, we both like musicals. Like, that's cool. We can get down with that. So it's interesting.
That's fantastic. What I don't know, man. You got any other like pearls? Any other? This is valuable, Jim.
I think I hit just about everything. Yeah. You guys, I told Delia when I came here, I said, I have a lot of faith in Nathan, and because her fear was, I'm a ex-teacher and administrator that I will dominate and take over and just. Oh. And I said, listen, I have a lot of faith in Nathan.
Yeah.
Both Nathans now, but I am confident that he will keep me on track and he will ask me the right questions.
I do know there is one question that I wanted to ask you. We got to ask another friend of ours this, who works as a school counselor. So you have an interest. You had an interesting career in your position to observe the value of parents in a child's life, but also, I mean, we're going to just bend this way a little bit more, but to observe the value of dads in the life of a child, both in your profession as a teacher and administrator, principal, and everything.
True.
What is something that maybe you observed from that time, like a lesson learned from that time? Like what? How valuable is the dad in the life of the student from an educator's perspective?
Oh my gosh. So my master's thesis is on this.
No way.
Yeah. My master's thesis is because I taught in Calexico and we saw a lot of single parent homes. And so it was the academic difference between 2-parent homes and single parent homes. Oh. And it's a drastic difference.
You could see it.
I could see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have my book. I still have my book.
Oh, wow.
But definite. And so, and then my first administrative position was at a continuation school.
Okay.
On the border. And I'd say 9 out of the 10 kids at that school did not have a dad living at home. Mm. And that's huge. Mm. But I saw the same thing. It's, once again, it's not rocket science. 2-parent homes, the kids were more stable in the school. Mm-hmm. And it's not 100% that way, but
sure.
But when a mom, I'll try to be careful saying this, when a mom is in charge of the household and she's working also, kids are coming, they're latchkey kids, they're coming home to an empty house, in a lot of situations. And so those are the kids we see consistently in the office, like I said, it's not always that way, but I did definitely see that difference. One other thing that I didn't hit on my list is that I had a superintendent when I first got into the district here that really wanted to, because we have so much time as administrators away from our kids, and that was tough, but he encouraged us as often as possible to involve your kids in what you're doing in your work. Like if you have game duty, and because administrators divide up games and stuff. Yeah. And so, and by the way, back to Jerry.
Yeah.
I'm an ex-wrestler. I wrestled. I wasn't very good. I wasn't very good, but so I took all the wrestling matches. So I've seen a lot of Jerry interacting with Caleb.
Oh yeah.
And it was beautiful. But anyway, so I would take my boys with me, and sometimes Sarah too, if I had a volleyball duty or something like that. But Sarah, once a year, that's another thing that Sarah and I did once a year. She would on Bring Your Daughter to Work Day. She would shadow me the whole day.
Oh, fun.
She'd go with me. We'd have lunch together, and we did that every year. In fact, I have a picture of her and I in the hallway at Shasta High School together. But she, and I think it was an influence on her. She shared it with me of her becoming a high school counselor herself. So, and then Daniel, as you know, is a school teacher at Foothill.
Yeah.
Which is where I was the principal. The first time I met you was on the football field.
Were we? Was I coaching?
You were
coaching. I helping coach?
You were coaching. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Do you find that your kids are coming to you, mostly the boys because their kids are older, coming to you now like, Dad, give me some advice. What do I do here in this situation with this kid or that kid? Like,
Not that often.
Okay.
They have.
Yeah.
They have, but not that often. And I'm proud of what they've become as fathers.
Yeah.
They're just both Luke and Daniel are amazing dads.
That's cool, man.
Amazing dads. And in fact, Luke, I'll share with you what he's done, and I wished I'd have done that.
Okay, yeah.
Because Luke will every day on his kids' birthdays, they do a breakfast with their dad, a one-on-one breakfast.
That's cool.
And so, and then he'll share pictures with we have a Bartow fam group that we a text thread, and he'll share pictures of that and stuff. So, it's just his thing that he has chosen. So even though I didn't do that, I'd like to think that he saw the value in that one-on-one time, and so he chooses to do that.
That's interesting because, and I know you probably, Nathan could comment on this too, but you think like spending time with your kids is important, and it is, and I'll spend time with all three of them at once, but there's like a desire inside of them, especially, well, all of them really, to just get that one-on-one time with dad. Like if for instance, hey, Dad, we want to go play baseball. So my thoughts are, okay, I'm going to get both my boys, and I'm going to go out. We're going to play baseball, and I'm going to get them both at once. But they want to play one-on-one with me to the point where I've actually gone to the park, to the diamond, practiced with one of them for an hour, went and dropped him off, picked the other one up, and then practiced with them both because they just love that one-on-one time with the dad.
Yeah, it's important. It's important.
I definitely think that's valuable, and I think that also just even in the family of God, it's like that as well. Like I think it's so valuable for the family to come together to worship God together, right? Whether that's in a Sunday context or small group context, but I also just want. Can I have times where it's just me and God? Like it's our special time, like I love worshiping next to you guys, praying with you guys and studying his word with you guys. But also I kind of want just some time with Dad by myself at times,
That's a great perspective.
I see that parallel also. Yeah. And I find it harder. I mean, we're all kind of in this same boat. Jim, you're ahead of us on it, but, it's hard to split up your time.
Yeah,
like you want to give each kid that special one-on-one time. But you also know there's other kids that are and your wife, like you want to give that time to your wife too. And so I just this morning, I told the kids, like, Mom and I need a date night. I've been fighting for 2 months to get a date night with Mom. So just you kids know that is the first time I can get one, we're out. Like we're gonna go have some time together.
And that's important too.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that we don't talk about enough is how important that our kids see you loving your wife, their mom. It's so crucial. I remember that in my parents, and my parents were together 50 years.
Wow.
And so just watching them dance or hug or kiss, or I was watching.
Yeah.
And our kids are watching.
I believe so.
It's very important. I want my grandkids to see that as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. This could cost my kids therapy in the future, but just in case they aren't catching it by observation, I tell them straight up. I just tell them like, hey, just so you know, Mom's more important to me. Like
awesome.
Mom's my priority. Like Mom's I don't love you less. I don't want to spend any less time with you, but Mom's number one.
It's okay because one day they'll get married and they're going to come to you and say,
sorry, Dad, we can't hang.
Yeah, sorry, Dad, we can't hang. Like my wife, she's my priority.
Yeah, no, totally. And as much as that would hurt, I'd probably cry tears of joy. It's like, okay, that's a win. Yeah. Maybe I can come back on this podcast 30 years from now and say that was a win. But I think it's valuable for my sons to see how you're to care and treat your wife. I think it's valuable for my daughter to see what you are worth, like how you should be treated, how you should be cared for. So yeah, I think I'm with you on that, Jim. I'm on that train. No, this is great, man. Thank you so much for giving us some time to hang
thanks
out.
for having me.
Really appreciate it.
Great to get to know you guys a little better.
I'm going to ask, would you pray for, selfishly, because we get to host this thing, would you pray for us, but also like for other dads listening?
Sure.
And where they're at kind of in their slice of life as being being a dad and these same things, that they have wins and lessons
Sure.
in their journey too.
Oh, Father, I just thank you for this opportunity to share, and thank you for the Nathans, Lord, and what they're doing here, having this burden for dads, and it just got birthed out of a conversation that they had, and how important they see this, and how they want ideas of how to be better dads, and give something out to other dads, Lord. We thank you for this opportunity to be together and to share. I pray, Father, that this podcast and the other ones that they've done will have an impact on other dads that are listening to it. I pray that this would become a popular topic, a research tool for dads to go to the website and to access that and learn, Lord, and put some things into practice. And I pray for them individually, Lord, as dads, that you would just help them with their kids and doing some of the things that we've done, that we've talked about, and that you would help them to put their kids first, of course, behind their wives, but that together as family, that they would be able to lead them to you, Lord, and draw them to you. Thank you for allowing me to be part of this, Lord. It's been a blessing. Thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, man.
Yesterday is over and the future has come. Are you ready for